Om Shri Sadgurave Namaha. I bow down at the holy lotus feet of true Guru, whose words of wisdom are like mighty sunbeams to dispel the darkness of ignorance. Through Guru, the beneficence personified takes the disciple to meet the Supreme Being. Blessed is Guru, whose glory is indescribable in words. Whatever little I could or would say is only because of his compassionate grace. Om. Hello viewers, warm greetings. Jai Guru, Radha Swamiji, Satyaram Shah, Namaste. Welcome back to the new episode of Talk in the series of English lectures on Santmat Satsang. In the previous talk, which was marred by some technical glitches because of loss of network connectivity, etc., there was some loss of continuity. We'll try to briefly recapitulate whatever we had discussed in the previous lecture and continue the talk from there. So far, while discussing the answer to the question that why God cannot be seen first in the outside world, we have seen that God, who is all-pervading, is the minutest, is the subtlest, and therefore the means to grasp him, to perceive him, to see him also must be equally subtle. We have seen that the means or the tools that we have at our disposal, which enable us to gather knowledge, to perceive, to cognize, are based on only 5 sensory organs that we have. We have seen that these sensory organs or our senses are too gross to be able to perceive the subtlest God. And therefore, the Samaveda says that all our efforts to know him, to find him, to see him, with the help of our external or internal organs, is in fact an exercise in futility. Therefore, what is the solution? Because whatever resources we have are our sensory organs, our senses. And if they are incapable of perceiving God, then who will be able to perceive him? We have seen that nothing but the soul, which is as subtle as God is, can perceive him, can see him. But this leads to another miscongruity that we had seen, because if we say that the soul is capable of perceiving God, then the question that would come to the fore, that would be staring us in our face, is that each one of us, we are told, is soul. So if we ourselves are the soul, then why we can't see God? Why we are not able to find Him anywhere? The answer to this also have been, as we have seen earlier also, given by sants, that that is because the soul has been covered by multi-layered drapes or veils which keep it from seeing God, just as somebody has blindfolded us, which makes us unable to see things around us. Similarly, the soul also is covered, is draped by a number of layers of coverings or veils. So, what is the way out then? The way out is that we means the soul will have to free itself, uncover itself, will have to remove the veils that keep covering it. That is, it will have to get rid of, wriggle out of all the veils or curtains that keep it covered. This leads to another question. Where should we go where we could rid ourselves of all these coverings? There is no place in the world, in the whole of universe, where we could retreat so that we are freed of all these coverings. Mountains, caves, depths of seas, other planets, go wherever we might wish to, the world will not be the macrocosm, the universe will not be left behind. Why else, anything else? Wherever we go, our body will always accompany us, and so will all the senses. And therefore, it is impossible to get rid of all these coverings. There are so many bodies we have seen in our earlier discussions, okay, that overlay the soul. And our escape into any part of the universe will not free us even of the outermost covering, that is this gross body. And therefore, any effort to flee, to escape to remote locations such as forests or mountain caves is not going to help. Then what should we do? Is the question. How could we uh, raise ourselves above our body consciousness? The answer will be that suppose we sit quietly in a quiet place with our body still and try to meditate, okay, concentrate on a target within us, then isn't the world around us left behind? Why trying to go within? It is our experience that if we are thinking on any particular subject, or say we are listening to very attentively with rapt attention to any music, to any person talking, or we are having a good look at people we like so much, we are so fond of, or we are thinking of a particular thing, or we are engrossed in eating some recipes of our choice. It has been our experience of each one of us that while doing so, we become completely oblivious of things and persons around us. We are so engrossed, we are so lost in our concentration to that particular object or person, be it listening, be it seeing, be it eating, that we become completely unmindful of things around us. But the problem with this is that suppose we are engrossed in seeing someone because we are so fond of him or her that we forget everything else when he or she comes in front of us. So, though we forget everything else, but what is it that is making us forget our seeing a particular person or object, or our listening to a particular, say, sound, a discourse, a music, anything it could be. So, if we are lost in listening to something, then what keeps us so much concentrated? It is our ears, or our eyes, or our tongue, and then we may be oblivious of most of the things around us, but the tool that allows us, enables us to do is one of these senses only: our eyes, our ears, our tongue, our skin, anything like that. So even this effort fails to make us rise above, or say detach ourselves from all our sense organs or the bodies. We are engrossed in looking at something which is another body, and we are using some of our senses, so they are very much there. So therefore, doing such things in the outside world is not going to help. So what is to be done? Because unless and until the soul is completely, uh, say, stripped of all its outer coverings, it will not be in a position to see God, as we have seen. That is, the soul is an ever inseparable part of God, just as sky contained within the four walls of a house, or sky or space contained in a pot, or in a room made of curtains, which are known as, say, Mathakash or Ghat Akash or Pat Akash. They are very much part of the larger space or sky that lies outside, and they are ever connected. Okay, even through the walls of the house, or of the pot, or of the, say, curtain. But still, an illusion of separation is created, and multitude of skies or spaces come into being. Same is the case with the soul, which is, though an ever inseparable part, it can never be separated from the whole, that is Supreme Soul or God Himself. But still, these outer coverings, these drapings, okay, give or create the illusion of the soul being a separate entity from the God, and there, say, being so many such souls in the universe. Because if we ask, say, some common persons, that how many souls are there, 2, 3, 5, 10 lakhs, billions, the answer will be that there are so many of souls around in most of the cases. But the fact of the matter is that the soul is one only. What makes us think of multitude of souls? Okay, there being many souls around us is those coverings. And therefore, what we have to do, we have to think of the means which could help us in getting rid of these coverings. So, one way, as I say discussed just now, that if we sit quietly, still, without any strain, sit erect and try to focus our attention at a target, okay, with our eyes closed. When we close our eyes, then what do we see? Usually, for most of us, it will be a vast expanse of darkness all around. What is darkness? When we are not able to see anything, we say it's dark out there. So, the most common experience with almost all of us is when we keep our eyes closed, that we see darkness. That is, we see nothing within. And where we lie within our body, because we have seen in our earlier discussions that who are we? Okay, this is my body, so I cannot be body. Because if this is my shirt, I cannot be shirt. I am the owner of the shirt. This is my house, so I cannot be the house. I live in the house, within the house. Similarly, if this is my body, I cannot be body. If these are my eyes, I cannot be eyes. So therefore, I cannot be senses. I cannot be, say, organs of action, my mind, my intellect. So this BMI is not me. Body, mind, intellect is not me. Then who am I? To whom all these belong? And just as if this is my house, I live within my house, similarly, this body is also a house within which dwells the soul, that is, we ourselves. So, our bodies may be in light, lying in light. If it is daytime, light is naturally present. If it is evening or night time, then we could lit so many sources of lights. And we could keep our bodies in light. But if somebody asks us that where are you? So where am I? If I ask myself, then what will be the answer? And how would we find the answer? To see what lies outside, I have to open my eyes. I live within this body, I indwell this body. So, therefore, in order to see what lies within, what will I have to do? I'll have to keep my eyes closed to find and search where am I. And when I close my eyes and try to look within, then I cannot see anything. It's thick, pitch dark within. And therein lies the target. That is, if we try to focus ourselves at a target given by our master or the one who has taught us, and if somehow we could focus there, then we'll realize that we completely lose touch with whatever is outside. We even become completely unaware of our own body, what to talk of the other bodies and things around us. Our sensory organs also fail to work because they work only so long as the consciousness current is spread all the parts of our body. And what happens when we try concentrating within, that all our currents of consciousness, which are otherwise spread, scattered throughout our body, starts accumulating, starts shrinking, concentrating. And if they collect completely in a point within, then what happens? We become completely unaware of our whole body. Okay, and our body becomes like a piece of stone. And what happens now? That even though our eyes are there, we are not able to see anything. Our ears are there, we are not able to hear anything. Nose is there, we are not able to smell anything. Tongue is there. Suppose we had kept something within our mouth while meditating, And once our concentration is fully focused, then we find that even that taste disappears, because the consciousness current that enables the tongue to collect, to grasp taste has receded within, and therefore tongue is an inactive or dead tool. We we will not realize what is it we are sitting on. That is, the sense of touch also has gone away. So what has happened as a result of this, that we have come out, or we have detached ourselves, or we have removed at least one cover of the gross body. This is the outermost cover that we have been able to remove by following a simple method as this. Okay, how to do this is another, say, topic, and for that we'll have to say learn the tact from an adept master or teacher. So that is not the topic of today. What I was trying to explain is, if we concentrate on a target within by keeping our eyes closed, then if our concentration becomes complete, we have removed one cover of outermost cover of our gross body, of our gross senses. Even though this body is physically very much there, we are not there. We have receded within. But this has solved only one difficulty. Similarly, there are many bodies within body. Because if we are concentrating inside us, then whose help we are taking? We are taking the help of mind, our own mind. So that even if we have wriggled out of our gross body, but the mind is very much there with us. And we'll see in some of our future talks that many other bodies that are inside this body that is seen externally still remain, and we are yet to come out of them. We are yet to detach from them, so that soul is completely free of all its coverings. So this happens by and by as we proceed with our tact of inner meditation. Okay, and slowly, just as we have got rid of this gross body and gross senses, similarly, there are techniques which help us in rising above, in transcending the astral body or subtle body also. Similarly, causal body, supracausal body, and even the conscious body. Each one of them could be transcended, could be moved across one by one, and finally will reach in a state where soul has removed all its covers, all its veils. It's completely naked, but that is its most beautiful form. And what happens when soul has freed itself of everything that has been covering it henceforth or hitherto? Then the answer that is offered by those who have practiced this art to perfection is that the soul becomes one with the Supreme Soul. It merges into that, and it itself becomes the, as a supreme soul, supreme being, supreme Lord, or the God. Just as if we fell the walls of a house, then what will happen? The hut sky or house sky will merge with the outer sky to become the outer sky itself. And now, nowhere is that hut sky or house sky. Or if you break, okay, completely remove the walls of the pot, then it merges with the outer sky, and it itself becomes the sky. vast sky, infinite sky. Similarly, the soul unites with, okay, even earlier it was united. In fact, it had never been separate, but the illusion of separation, separateness was created because of the presence of these veils, and that illusion also is gone now. And it is what it had always been, it has always been. That is, we become what we have always been, and that is what is called salvation. Okay, uh, I think still we are say to answer this, that how, what was our question, that why God cannot be perceived first, seen first in the outside world. So at least we have been say successful in understanding at least that first God has to be perceived within. We have to strive within, we have to invert within, we have to move inside within to see him. And what happens when once we see him within? All this for a subsequent talk, where we'll see that how this happens, why this happens, and then we'll begin to discuss that how this detachment of the outer coverings can be affected, can be achieved. Okay, how the soul can free itself of all its coverings. Okay, and for that, first we'll have to understand the nature of creation, how this creation came into being, how it was formed by God, what is the sequence, and what are different layers or planes or spheres of creation. So, all that we'll be discussing in subsequent lectures. I hope in this lecture I have succeeded in putting my viewpoint across to you, that why it is important to look within if we want to see him, if we want to see ourself, our true self. Okay, so whether it is our true own self or God, they are one and the same thing. And that can be perceived first only by looking within. So that is the answer to why God cannot be found first in the outside world. Hope you agree to this. And if you find that there is anything, say, lacking or shortcoming, or I could not make any point clear, or I forgot to include some point, please be frank in putting your reactions in the comment box. I'll be too say happy and obliged to you for this. So till we meet again in the next lecture, Namaste, Jai Guru, Radha Swami Ji, Vaheguru, Satyaram Sa, Namaste. Thank you so much. Jai Guru.